Hey folks, how's it going? Chris here from MoDXtra Games and Collectibles. I hope you're well. I'm doing very well because I'm flying out to Italy to enjoy some sun, sand, glorious food and some relaxation to wind up the summer holidays before the kids go back to school. So I'm laying this one down quick and dirty. I'm even using my Ponzi interview microphone. Yeah, I definitely feel a bit poncy using this one. And so, therefore, it's a quick and dirty Chris's thoughts on the sofa. I'm literally, I've even got the chair folded up. My legs are up right now. This is where I just have a kind of freestyle, unscripted talk to camera around some recent news that's caught my attention. I say recent news, it was some number of days ago that this news came out. I'm only just catching up. And that news is the information that came out from CanadaCon. Convention Canada, some convention in Canada anyway, that was taking place. Hasbro was there. A guy called Troy Collects reported that Hasbro said during their panel there was going to be no Hasbro Pulsecon this year and possibly not a 1027, which I thought was curious news. I thought it was interesting news. They're going to be focusing much more on the face-to-face events. So San Diego Comic-Con, CanadaCon, they're coming over here. They're going to be at MCM London in October. I need to get the dates right because I'm thinking of going. LucaCon in Italy, funnily enough, where I'm flying out to tomorrow. Yeah, I just thought it was curious. It might be telling a bit of a story. There's a bit of narrative there that I wonder is worth dissecting. So, of course, in the first instance, Pulsecon, 1027, the kind of online media event type thing was born out of the pandemic situation. It was out of necessity. There were no face-to-face on-site conventions taking place for Hasbro to, tout their wares, to sell their shit. And as I've said many times before when talking about the online conventions, the fan streams and what have you, and the large online events, that's all it is. It's a sales event. But I think what's interesting is that through the pandemic and then as we kind of return to some semblance of normality, obviously some things have changed since the pandemic, Hasbro had kind of created its own weird ecosystem of delivering, opening up pre-orders, holding events, sharing news and information through the regular fan streams, through the large event streams like Pulsecon and 1027 and stuff. They sort of developed their own thing, their own space. And to my knowledge, the viewing figures were pretty impressive. And it strikes me that there's some sort of a little bit of a strategic trade-off going on here, that if they are moving back into doing the tour, the convention season, the face-to-face convention season, well, there's a multitude of pros and cons, and I'm not entirely sure the pros of this move would outweigh the cons. In the first instance, I was a big fan of these kind of larger scale online conventions. Here in the UK, we obviously missed out on a great deal of stuff. It's not like I can go to New York Comic Con at the drop of a hat or San Diego Comic Con at the drop of the hat. Even heading down to London for the MCM London Comic Con is actually quite a challenge. It's I'm looking into it right now for this year, and it's expensive. London hotels, London travel, the price of entry to the con itself, all this stuff starts to accrue and makes it financially unviable for me. And I imagine a lot of Hasbro consumers in the same position. So a free global event where exclusives are made available to everybody at the same time. So they're not really exclusives. They're like online convention specials appeal to me a great deal as a UK consumer. And it seemed to me like they were owning the fan experience to some extent. Don't get me wrong, we've got a lot to criticise about them too. But they were owning the fan experience and delivering the fan experience to me. Whereas holding their fan experiences and, announcements, exclusive releases, so on and so forth, the show and tells, etc., in the face-to-face environments means that I have to go to them. I have to find them, seek them out in a convention that is not just theirs. It's not just Hasbro stuff. They're one stand, one booth, one panel in amongst a wealth of other things, which is not necessarily an issue. I'm a massive man-child nerd. I worship at the broad church of nerddom. This channel is very focused on G.I. Joe Classified because it's my main action figure line at the moment, but I love all sorts of stuff. I'm a Star Wars fan. I'm a Star Trek fan. I read DC comic books, Marvel comic books. I'm all over the shop. I play fighting fantasy games. I'm an avid board gamer. So it's not necessarily an issue, but I felt like it's indicating a kind of strategic shift where rather than delivering the fan experience to me, I'm making it free, globally accessible, and instantaneous. I have to then go to them for the fan experience. And I'm not sure I'm a big fan of that. Now, of course, it's possibly no surprise that the timing of this comes around a time when there's a lot of talk about, the financials of Hasbro. There's been, sales downturns announced, restructuring, people getting laid off, there's all sorts of stuff going on. And so I do wonder whether it's just a simple spreadsheet decision that the cost of designing a stand and flying some staff out to London, Italy, New York, San Diego is less than the price of running a studio with production crews and, I don't know, IT folks or whatever. I mean, I doubt that that's the case, but maybe it is. Or certainly in terms of the sales generated, maybe they've done some analysis and said, do you know what? The backstage streams at SDCC have produced more revenue, more sales than the pre-orders made off the back of 1027, maybe. I don't know, but it just seems coincidental. Like maybe the overhead of running a touring convention unit is less than the overhead of running these kind of filming studios. And obviously there's something about attracting a bigger audience. A Pulsecon broadcast on YouTube or a 1027 broadcast on YouTube is going to just attract already bedded in Hasbro fans, Black Series collectors, Marvel Legends collectors, G.I. Joe Classified collectors, Magic the Gathering fans, Wizards of the Coast folks, Whereas going to a convention, you're opening up your field, getting eyeballs, perhaps turning the heads of a Mattel fan or someone who's there for the Lego or I don't know. While it's a downside to be one in amongst many, it's also a plus because the footfall is better. The fact that there's a shit ton of footfall and it's crowded and it's smelly and it pisses me off, doesn't factor into their decision. And it does also feel a little bit like some of the work now they're pushing onto the content creator community. I mean, not me, I'm a little fish, but some of the bigger fish, they're relying on these people heading to the stall, photographing the cabinets, buying the exclusive, and then, Troy over at Toy Kind of Mood was literally reviewing SDCC exclusives, I think on the table in his hotel room. I mean, someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure. I don't watch other people's reviews for figures I'm planning on reviewing myself until I've done the review, so I don't know the full narrative there. But I'm sure it looked to me, from a cursory glance, that he was reviewing them in his hotel room. And that's kind of an example of them sort of pushing some of that marketing energy onto the content creators, because I suspect there'll be someone over in the Marvel Legends crowd who'll do that. There'll be someone over in the Black Series crowd who'll do that. There's someone over in the Transformers crowd who'll do that, So there's kind of like an abdication of some of that work over to other people. Like MCM London Comic Con, you'll bet bottom dollar that Dan Who or who's the guy who hangs out with him, Jay's Collectibles, will film their panel and get it up, live stream it out on their YouTube or their Insta or whatever. So, yeah, a lot to think about there. Interesting. There's been no word as to whether this is indicating a shift away from the sort of regular, the Fan Friday, the Friday fan streams and stuff. So, they already have a kind of regular cadence, a regular rhythm of that taking place. But there's something of a kind of shift, a philosophical shift in the way that they go about doing these things, which I think is curious. I think it's very curious. I mean, I did see someone on ToyNewsInternational website, which is where this initially hit my radar from, because I have them fed into my RSS feed reader on my iPad. That's where I first kind of saw the news, the information. And there was someone in the comments said, "Oh, it's clearly a sign of them indicating they're ramping down toy production and stuff." And I don't know if it's to that extent, but it certainly does nod towards a bit of a philosophical shift. But in any case, as I said, I'm exploring the possibility of going down to the London Expo, the MCM Expo, to see what's going on there. And Hasbro will certainly be on the list as a somewhere I want to visit. I think, have they said Pythona is going to be on sale there? If she is, then I'll definitely be passing by the Hasbro stall for sure. And maybe I could take this along and see if I can stick it in someone's face and get some words. I don't know. I doubt it. Again, I'm just small fish. But yeah, let me know in the comments down below what your thoughts are. I think it's interesting. It's an interesting piece of news. I don't know. I haven't seen whether it's been officially confirmed by Hasbro. This is secondhand information that we're receiving from someone who heard it on a panel at a convention. But I think it's pretty reliable, you know. But let me know in the comments down below what your thoughts are. As I say, I'm a bit like, you're making me have to come to you, and maybe we'll go back to those older days where folks like me in the UK or anyone outside of the United States. Well, even then, you know, folks within the United States, you know, it's very expensive and so a little bit kind of exclusionary and exclusive to get to the New York Comic Con or to get to San Diego Comic Con and stuff. So are we going back to those older days where exclusives become harder to find? And I don't know. Anyway, let me know in the comments down below. But there's a few thoughts before I go on my jollies. I'm going to be on holiday for a week now, so I've got some pre-recorded videos that I've loaded up that will be going live. But the likelihood of me replying to comments and stuff will be very, very low. But I'll see you fresh-faced and hopefully very tanned when I'm back. All right, folks, take it easy. Thanks for swinging by. Come back again for another video sometime soon. And I'll see you on the other side. All right? Ta-da now.